Hello and welcome to the new Power BI tutorial video, where in the Power BI I will show you using Power Query how you can pivot a data structure. So this is a helpful scenario, especially in those tricky visualization where you need basically a different type of a setting rather than a long structured data. So this is all about creating wide structure from long structure, and I'll show you in a second how you can do that. Before that, just a quick information that if you have landed very first time on my channel, then you should know about this Google Sheet where I keep all of my videos. So the video title is present here, link is present here. That way you can search any of my video and jump to that video using the link present here. Also, based on your difficulty level, I have categorized each video, so that way you know whether this is for beginner, advanced, or let's say you are creating your own curriculum in terms of learning Power BI. You can first complete the beginner video, then intermediate level, and then advanced level. So this link of this sheet is present in description. Also, the dataset I use is basically from my dataset folder, where in Power BI you will have the information about this Power BI Superstore sales, the dataset I use for my scenarios. Okay, coming back to the Power BI. So first thing first, let's go into the Power Query by clicking on that transform data option. And then what do we have is we have to take the data set. So we have the recent sources and it's basically sometimes during the recording it doesn't come. So I'll go to Excel workbook and I'll choose that same Power BI Superstore sales. And then, it is nothing but a very simple data set about the orders that a departmental store has taken or a company has taken. Related to various categories like furniture and whatnot. Okay, so it has a lot of information, as you can see, and whole thing is about pivot. So what do you have is basically, let's say, a requirement where you have ship mode over here, right? And you want to see, and you have a quantity column over here, right? And what do you want? Basically, you want, rather than this structure, if you have a business requirement where you want each column by the ship mode, like one column for standard class, one column for first class, right? So, and one column for second class, so on and so forth. So you have 3 or 4 classes over here, right? So you want column for each of this class. Then in that case, pivot structure is very useful, and many times during the tricky visualization, or let's say for the purpose of construction of tables, this can be really useful, right? So what do you need is basically you need to go into the transform menu, and then you have the option of pivoting the column, right? So ship mode is basically what we have selected. So you can see, use the names in the column ship mode to create a new column. Since I had the cursor over there and I selected that value, right? Then I need a value column, which is nothing but the quantity column, which I need for each of my ship class. And then in the advanced, it basically allows me to select whether I want sum, I want average, median, maximum, so on and so forth. So for now, I'll just go with the sum only, and I'll click OK. So it will throw an error, which is good that it has thrown the error. And the reason for this is, there is a lot of null values that it has picked up. So I'll click on load more, and you will see that it will load the entire data. And sometimes it captures some of these blank values which it shows as a null. So it will just make sure that we'll uncheck the null. And then we can do the same operation again. Ship mode is selected, pivot column. In the pivot column, make sure that ship mode is coming here, and the values should be the quantity. Advanced, make sure sum is there. If you need average, that's also fine. And you click OK. Once you click OK, now it will start doing the processing, and the columns will then be present in the end. As you can see, these ellipses or small circles are moving. So that means the processing is going on. Also, you can see my cursor, which is showing the processing icon. Now, if you see over here, in the end, you have basically standard class relevant quantity, first class relevant quantity, second class relevant quantity, same day relevant quantity. So what it has done is created a 4 columns with which you can easily create sort of a simple table in a pivot type of a structure, which was not possible with the earlier configuration if you know about the pivot and simple table structure. So this becomes really helpful in scenarios where you want from each class a different type of a behavior. Right now you can have, let's say, average of standard class, maximum of first class. You can apply a different aggregation level on this, right? So that's something you can achieve with this. The only thing you need to make sure is when you do that, the level of data granularity, the number of rows can increase or decrease. So that's the only thing you need to make sure you are checking it. Otherwise things are good. You can start using it in the front end and get the desired output. So simply come to home, click on close and apply, and then it will do the processing, and all these newly created columns will be present in the data section for you to create the output. And I'll show you in a quick 2 seconds after it it is done with uploading or processing the data and creating the model, as to why it is helpful and how you can basically take a good advantage of that in the front end by creating a simple visualization. So for now, I'll just take a pause here and come back once it is loaded. All right, processing is done. Now I have sheet. So first thing first I will do is I will select this table. So what did I have is was the shipping mode, right? So this is ship date, and if I come back and up and down, just let me expand this up. So what you have now is same day, second class, standard class, right? And first class, right? So what I can do is I can basically bring all of these columns very easily now one by one, like first class, same day, second class, and standard class, right? So now if you see, these are all coming as 4 different measures, which ideally would not come when you have it as in a dimension. And then I can expand it, let's say, by category over here, which by producing it as first. So now I have category, and for each category, this is now creating a pivot type of a structure, right? If you have used, so rather than we are using the matrix as a column, we are basically using it. That is just one example, but it has countless other examples in terms of creating custom visualization. Like I mentioned, that for first class, let's say you want to take a sum. For a same day, you want to take an average. If you want to apply a different type of aggregation for the values of the same column, then you need to create a pivot type of a structure. So very, very helpful in those tricky scenarios where you need basically a different treatment for each of the dimension value. Remember that is the key. For each dimension value, if you need a different type of a treatment or you need to show it differently, you will going to use it. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any confusion or question and I'll help you answer that.